Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome back to the channel. Fix It for Reselling. Today we got on the desk a Yamaha Natural Sound AV receiver, the RX-V620RDS Cinema DSP Digital. Now, I picked this up at auction. I only paid £5 for it. No one was bidding on it, so I thought, well, sod it. So I won it for a £5 plus commission. Probably works out about £6. But I have turned this on and we're getting no sound. All lights up, got no sound. We've got a problem with this board over here. Obviously it's missing a knob, which I didn't see in the picture because literally it came up on screen and I decided to bid on it and I didn't even see that. But that all does push in. So I need to have a look at that board, see why that's pushing in there. But yeah, so like I say, no sound. Let's plug this in and show you. And then let's have a look inside of it. Let's see what we can do. Right, so I'm just going to whack some speakers into the terminals. This thing is a beast. Weighs about 10 kilograms. I won't even fit on my desk properly. I need to. I will be eventually sorting out this space and getting a decent shelf and desk in here to work on. Eventually, I've got most of the house to decorate still and do plastering and all that malarkey. Right, so there we go. Got our wires in and connected. Let's plug it in. Just going to tip it on the back so you can just see it a bit better. Not the best thing in the world to do with this, especially the weight of it. It's got to be at least 10 kilograms. Right, let's turn the light off a minute. Let's turn it on. And there we go. We've got the full display. Volume's working okay up and down. So that's good. Right, I can't see. Right, let's put on the radio. Yeah, got to go left and right for the inputs. Phono, CD, tuner. Let's get the aerial from the loft up in here. Oh, right, there we go. Greatest Hits Manchester. Right, so there's the front of it. We're tuned into Greatest Hits. We have got our speakers turned on over that side, speaker A. Now if we move the volume, obviously that's down. You can see the line on the volume going up. So if I turn it all the way up, that is full volume. I'm just going to put my mic next to the speakers. And you can only just hear it. That is full volume. And you can only just hear that. So just back over here, keep the mic in front of me so you can see I'm not doing anything naughty. So there, so you can see full volume. Full volume, and you can only just hear it. So let's turn this back down. Right, turn it off a minute. Ooh, good view inside. Right, so obviously sound's not getting amplified. Let's just turn it off for now. Yeah, so obviously sound's not getting amplified. I suppose it could be a multitude of things. Right, let's get it unplugged. So let's take the wires out. We'll get the lid off and see if there's anything obvious in here. Maybe there's cracked solder joints on the transistors on the output side. Who knows? But let's get the lid off. We'll have a look. Right, I won't take you boring the lid off. 1, 2, 3, go. And there it is in all its glory. One problem it could possibly be is maybe all the transistors. I think they're all your transistors in your output side for all the. I presume they're for all the speakers and everything. But you can see them all in here. Massive row of them. What we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 in there. I've got 10 transistors. Now the trouble with these, it's on a massive heat sink, and depending if this has been played full volume all the time, sometimes these can all heat up. That's why they're attached to the heat sink, so they can dissipate their heat because they get very, very hot. What can sometimes happen on videos and stuff I've seen before with the heating up and cooling again, they expand and contracts the solder, the metals, and you could get solder cracks in the bottom of them. So I just want to have a quick look under there. I bet the bottom of this don't come off. No. See, some of these units, sometimes you'll have an old unit and have like an access panel on the bottom, so you can just take the panel out the bottom. We can see all of our transistor joints in here. Whether I can get you in there, I do not know. So there, that is the edge of the heatsink there. You can see where all your transistors are soldered onto. So I'm just going to have a quick look with a magnifying glass or something. Let's see if I can hold it upside down there. Let me just see if I can get in there any closer on the phone. See, the solder looks alright though. I'm just looking at these ones under here, this row. That's what I'm looking at, just to see if there's any cracks in there. Right, so I can't see anything obvious in there. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is just do like a visual inspection. Just want to check any cap, see if there's anything looks like it's blown, any burnt areas or anything like that. Just going to have a little looky round. Probably check these cables as well, make sure some cables aren't loose. So this is the board all the transistors are on, but probably need to check around and look at everything really. There's nothing obvious yet. Nothing on. What is that? Oh, hang on a minute. I've got a loose lead over here with all bent pins on it. Let's get over there. Is this going to be easier than I thought? Why has that been pulled out? Obviously there's a connection down here, and this was tucked under there, so couldn't really see it. Looks like it was plugged into something. Nothing else been taken out here, is there? They all look like they're in. Nice, they look okay. Nice, all the pins are bent up. These are weird, these connectors. I wonder if someone's had it apart and not put that back down. These connectors do have down here, there's like a little arm, or sort of one side of the connector lifts up for when you take it out. You can see I've lifted up that up there, and then when you push them in, it needs to be back down for it to lock it in place. So I don't know whether it's been apart before, or whether this is, maybe someone's dropped it or done something. Obviously the buttons are broken on the front of the unit, or the board's pushed in, so maybe it's had a drop and maybe this has just popped out. These are a pain, and they are bum connectors, these are, because you've got to have all these pins. They're just the wires coming out of the insulation or the sleeving, so they do need to be lined up. They do move quite easy, but you don't want to snap them, and they have to be lined up perfectly for them to go back into their holes. Can't believe it would just be this. This just looks like it's going to the front board though. This lead here is just going into the front of here, into the front panel. It doesn't look like it comes out again. So maybe this isn't it. But the front panel was all lit up. Who knows? Yeah, so these you've got to make sure you've got all your pins lined up in the holes, so nothing shorts. That's pretty good, they're in. See what I mean? See what I mean about a lever as well? They push in, but they're loose. They'd fall out unless you push that clip back down all the way. Slide that down, and now that's locked in there. That's not gonna fall out. So has it had a fall and that's popped up, or someone's opened it before? Who knows? Right, with that back in place, let's put our speakers back on, turn it on, see if that has made any difference at all. Plug it in, see what happens. Plugged in. Turn it on. Yeah, it's not plugged in. Plug the right plug in. Fool. Right, on. Speakers.
It's a source of protein and fibre, but when they grow, they naturally have
And it works.
so by mixing half lentils with half.
Right, so there we go. Greatest hits. It's now working. You can still hear it at minus 60 decibels.
Even if it has outstanding finance, they'll just sort it all out for you.
I won't turn it up too loud.
Take the hassle out of selling your car and enter your reg number now at webuyanycar.com.
Still got the same speakers selected. We're plugged into the speaker arrays. Same speakers as before. And that's it, it's working. Just from that little connector down there. Now I need to take the front off and have a look why that board is loose in the front. Maybe that'll tell us if it's had a drop or not. So let's turn it off, unplug it all. Unplugged. Hit the power button a few times. I'm going to drain any capacitors. I think these ones are going to hurt you if you touch them. Right, so I'll probably just whiz through this. Couple of screws on top. I'll get the front off. If there's anything weird or awkward, I'll let you know. It should just be screws on the top, maybe a few on the bottom. Okay, so to get this front panel off, that wire has to be taken out. So maybe that's been taken out on purpose, and this one needs to come out. Going into the transistor. Right, hopefully we can just flip this over with that cable undone. Save undoing these. Yeah, we've got some board damage there. So obviously something is not going to work over this side because that has been ripped off. And obviously there's got a corner of the board missing. A whole corner of that board missing. So something on here is not going to work. And that's our treble and our bass. Just pop this board off, see if there's... I can't hear anything rattling around in here. That's why the board is loose, because that corner is missing and that's where it screws onto. That's a shame, because if it was just cracked, oh, that'll come out and the knob would just come off. Yeah, so that's not looking good. I might be keeping this one for myself if it works well enough, and selling my other test amplifier, which I need to fix. So I'm just going to have a look around here, see if there's any part of this board floating around inside. Right, I've had a look all around here, giving it a shake. I can't find anything that might have fallen off or where that board is. So I think maybe the person before might have had this apart, noticed that was snapped, couldn't be bothered to put a ribbon cable back in there, because you can actually leave that one in and tilt the front up. So gone on to the internet, found the schematics and some diagrams of it, so I can see what corners here and can now see what components are meant to be linking up to the connections on the tone pot or the treble. So now we know where things should go. I shall talk over this when I get the board back out, but I just want to plug it back in and see if that tone control or the treble control works at all, and then we'll get back to having a look at it. Right, you might not hear from just having talking on, but the
former Conservative Cabinet Minister Owen Paterson has said that he wants
treble
to go
control
to court to clear
is not
his
doing
name
anything.
after he was found to have broken
The
lobbying
board's
rules.
gone in now.
An investigation by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards concluded he had misused his position as an MP to further the interests of two firms who paid him as a consultant. He faces the prospect of being suspended from Parliament.
Yeah, that's definitely not doing anything. Let's turn it off. Okay, so now we've confirmed that treble control is not doing anything. Let's see if we can do anything about that. Just going to pull this one back out. I'll leave that one in because you can lift it and out and tilt it up. Okay, let's undo these. Take this out. Right, so this is our board. Let's move this beast out of the way for a minute. Not the main board, that's the treble and bass board. Right, so here is our printout of what the board should look like in this corner. So this side is actually like that side flipped. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see here, these two capacitors are these two capacitors. You've got C, what's that, C523 and C522, so that's them. ST501 is just a screw terminal. That's what it says in the parts list. And now the one that's further down is the other side of the board, which is this side. So on here, this is the capacitor there. You can see it's got a resistor. Oh, is that in shot? So here we go. This is the right way around. So you can see here, this is our capacitor on the other side. That's one leg of the capacitor. That's the other leg of the capacitor. So that's the negative side, because all this plane is ground, and that's the positive side of the capacitor, which then goes into this resistor and across, and that actually goes off down into pin 3. Now if we look at this board, I'm not sure if we can get more in shot here. Alright, so okay, so there's our capacitor on the other side, negative leg, positive leg. So that's that. It's marked on this side as well, C523. So that is our negative that's on the ground plane. This is our positive leg. It goes through this capacitor, then goes through the resistor, and you can see by the lines, the drawing on it, it then goes off. But on here, on this bit that's hanging off, you know, we had no idea of where it went to before. And then this here is the other capacitor. So we got, which one's that? That's our negative. Yeah, so we got our negative on the ground plane there, and that is our positive. We still have got the resistor attached to the board. So that's now this side. So that's our positive leg. We've still got this resistor here, which is that one there, attached to the board. Now this one should go off down here and connect to leg 4 on here, which is that one. So we've got this one, top of the resistor should come down, connect to leg 3. This one, the bottom of the resistor, that should come down and connect to pin 4. Looking at everything else on the diagram, all of this all goes off and round the bottom. It's only these two middle pins that are going up here. So that looks like the only thing we have lost. These pins are all going to still be connected coming down here to the board. So we've literally just lost connections of pin 3 and 4 up to our resistor. So if we run some jumper wires, we just run some jumper wires from here up to there, it should be good, should work again. So let's get the soldering iron warmed up and we'll have a go at that. Right, so soldering iron's heated up. I've got some enamelled wire here. This is what I took out of an old transformer that was knackered, an old unit. Now when you have enamelled wire, it is not conductive. It's got an enamel coating on there, so if it touches any other metal parts, it's not going to short out. So let's bring this in. So just to show you, I put my meter on continuity, so it will beep when I touch the prongs. So if I go on one point of this enamel wire and then another, it's not going to beep. So that is good to use. So if that wire touches any other component, it's not going to short it out. Right, so what we need to do to the end of this, you can heat it up and the enamel should come off. I think it should be 400 degrees. I've got my iron set to 340 at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's enough to actually melt enamel away, but we'll see. Might just turn it up a bit, but we'll see if we can just tin the end of it. Yeah, so that has got, we have got some solder on the end of that now. Right, so trying to keep everything in shot. Oh. Right, so obviously we've got the top of this resistor here, which is the top of that resistor. So from the top of there, we need to go down to pin 3, which is down here. So we'll start by trying to get this onto pin 3. So I'm just going to heat that pin up. Got a bridge across those two pins now. Just need to get rid of that. Still got a bridge there. I'm just going to try and get rid of some of the solder out of here with a solder sucker, which will mean the wire will come off. There's a bit less solder around now. Get some fresh solder on this one where I just took the solder away. That's good. I'll check for any shorts after I've done this. Right, so now this needs to come around and go to the top of that resistor. Just trying to think, 'cause I need to do the bottom of that resistor next. I'm just going to make it come around the top of it. So we'll probably have that about there, so we can cut this wire roughly around there. Just see if we can tin this up. You can just get a blade, or a little pair of scissors or something. You can actually scrape. You can just actually scratch the end of that enamel off of there, if you wanted to do it that way, or a little varn, or whatever you want. But I tend to find just using a soldering iron, just heat it up a little, eventually the enamel eventually comes off. Let's put it up to 400 degrees, see if it just melts it a bit quicker. Oh, I'm bloody out of shot again. Is that still in shot? Yeah. So there we go, 400 degrees, that enamel has now melted. So I just want to get this rounded into shape again. So yeah, so now we just need to solder that to the top of the resistor. So I'm just going to put a fresh bit of solder just on the top of the resistor. Like that. Then I'll just use my tweezers just to hold that wire down. Melt it together like so. There you go, not pretty, but that is the first one done. If we bring in my meter on continuity again. So there you go, that goes off. Now we can just check our connection by touching the wire up on the resistor here and touching the pin down here. And there you go. No short on the pin next to it there, and no short on the pin on the other side either. So that wire's good, connect it up. So again, just going to tin the end of our enamel wire again. Wire gets hot very quickly. So that is tinned. As you can see from here, this time we want to go from the bottom of the resistor onto pin 4. So we'll get this on to pin 4. Clean some of that solder off there and just get some resin on this. So that one's attached. We want to go to the bottom of this resistor. Sorry if my head's in the way, probably was. Just going to try lifting this board back into place a little bit, because once I put this wire on, it will probably hold it there. Yeah, probably will. What I could have done was put that wire behind that board. That would have held it up a bit. But anyway, right, we're going to put a bit of extra solder on the bottom of the resistor. nice little blob on there. I'll try and tin the end of our wire. That should do. Going to try getting it in place. Lift that board up a bit. Now I just want to try and hold this all in place. So just get the tweezers on there. Clean the tip a bit. And that should be that. So there we go, not the prettiest job in the world. We have got wires crossing over here. I could have made this wire go down and under that board and back over the corner. Would have helped keep this piece in place. But it'll do. Might get some solder mask and put on there just in case they start rubbing, because if they start rubbing, you know, it could wear through the enamel. So I've got some solder mask I might put on that. I just want to get this back in now, see if it's made a difference, see if it's working. So let me get this back in and come back to you when it's all together. Or first, actually. Don't always be too eager to test your workings. You want to make sure we haven't shorted anything out. So we want to make sure this resistor is connecting down here, which it is. And you want to make sure you haven't bridged any connections between here, and no, there's no bridge connections there. And obviously let's check from this side to this side in case those, just in case, you know, the wires were crossing over at all, whether they were bare and touching and shorting. But no, that's fine. You would have had it there anyway. So no, so that all looks good. Nothing's shorting, nothing's bridged. So I'll see you when it's back together. Right, that's it, we are back together. Enough to test at least. Aerial. Not stuck the door back on yet. Try and get this knob back on. Okay, right, let's plug it in. Right, let's just turn it back on. I'm just going to film the front on my phone, so I can show you. Don't film around that way, film around that way. Right, so I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to hear this.
I was nervous of how they might go down. We didn't have
But that's
him last time.
definitely changing the tone of the voice.
Big moments of the game, we didn't have him. Now to have him in the side.
It's definitely working now. Let me put the the mic in front of the speaker.
And he is, forget what he does on the field, the way that he is around the dressing room, the way that he is as a person, and he's a very, very good person to have in that dressing room. And he brings a lot of confidence, he brings a lot of calmness. We saw what he did in the final with Joffrey, you know, the way that he spoke to Joffrey before that super over. He does that day in, day out. He doesn't think twice about it. That's how he behaves around that team, and he is such an important player to have in that team in such a big series.
Right, so that is definitely working. Let's turn it off a minute. Right, so that is fixed, but the only trouble is, you know, attaching this board to the frame. Because as you can see there, that is where it used to screw to. But now there's no board for it to screw into. I could get a bit of plastic and put it across there and screw it down so the plastic just, like a little arm, holds it down. You know, it's not going to be a great fix. I don't think it's really going to be sellable. You know, we're missing that knob anyway. But you can replace them with any other knobs. They're all pretty much the same as long as it fits in the hole down there. Just trying to think what I've got. Got a spare screw here, see if that fits in there. Yeah. It's just like I just need something to go across there and hold that down. Give me 2 seconds to see if I can think of anything. Right, I was trying to think of something everyone might have at home to try and do this repair, and I was thinking of an old coat hanger. Plastic on the side's quite solid. I might be able to cut something out of that. So you could just, like, you know, cut yourself out a little line of it and put a screw hole and just make it go over that side of the board. That would probably like clamp it down, just cut out a little bit. Any kind of like strong plastic. Also, if you've got any old PCB boards, although this, bit wary of this because, you know, you've got copper layers on there. So I mean, I've already got a hole there. I could put that there and I could just cut, you know, just a line, just a corner out of there, just to hold that down. Then, you know, you've got the chance of any copper in there making contact with any of these pins, or, you know, the solder joint there on the bottom of that pot, whatever's there. Although that's only a ground anyway, so, but it could connect up the ground with something else. But that'll be safer, so I might just cut some of that out. I might have to use a Dremel or something, or a knife. Don't think a pair of scissors will do it. I mean, really, it doesn't even have to be perfect. You could probably just snap a bit off. Where's my knife? Right, well, that isn't going to work. So maybe if I score it, obviously do this on a flat table, not in mid-air like this. Cause yourself an injury. I mean, I've got a Dremel, so I could just go and cut this out really, but most people aren't going to have a Dremel or something to cut this with. See if that makes any difference just by scoring it and then trying to bend it out or something. Yeah, not too bad. Let's try and square it off now. See, that would fit over there. Hold it down. Just need to make a hole now. Really, I should go and get my screwdriver bits, but don't tell the wife I'm going to make the house smell of burning plastic. You might hear her come and tell me off in a minute. Right, so hopefully I can get that screw through that little hole I made. Nearly. Get it in there, get that started. Right, now I should just be able to push that circuit board down in place. And that'll probably do. That's holding that in place for now. Don't forget, you're not going to be putting, you're not really going to be pushing any pressure on these buttons just to turn them. So yeah, that'll be fine. Little bodge job. Obviously, I wouldn't want to sell a unit like this. But, you know, if any of you lot out there want to buy it for 50, 60 quid, then send me a message. Because I'm just going to use this as a spare now, and I'm going to try and sort out my Technics amplifier. Make sure that's working 100% and sell that. Because my Technics amplifier is worth about £100 and this is probably worth about 60 maybe. Right, so get this front panel back on. I think a bit of plastic might be hitting on the board that's holding them speaker buttons there. Yeah. So you might have to just trim that bit of plastic down a bit, or I think the plastic is just hitting on the side of here. So I think I literally need to make this so it just hangs onto this corner here. Use my side snips just to chip away some of the edge of this. Let's see if it fits any better. Oh no, that's better now. See, before I was pushing this and you could see that and those buttons moving, but now no, that's fully on. Good, good. Yeah, all back together. Plug it in, turn it on, make sure it all still works.
To wear, so to speak, it all.
So that's it, there it is, all back together.
So
Everything seems to be working. Tone control is definitely working, making a difference to the sound. And that's it, all together. Turn it off. So that's it, it's all fixed, all working. Fixed properly, really. The only bit of a bodge was just keeping that board in place with the, you know, bit of plastic from the coat hanger. Apart from that, it all seems fine. Obviously, there's a load more testing to go on. I mean, look at all them ports. Look at everything there. A lot of stuff to test. So I'm probably going to keep this as my test unit. I've got a Technics amp an SU-X502 that I might sort of do up and sell, although this is a lot bigger than what that one is, but we'll see. Right, so that's it. I'm going to leave this one here for now. Another unit that's saved from the landfill for the moment. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, or please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Give it a thumbs up. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. The usual jargon, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.